Unless you've been living in a cave with no access to news, you've probably noticed the global economy is collapsing before our eyes. And it's not just in the United States. Europe is in serious trouble. Japan, same story. Everyone is sinking into the same hole: too much debt and too little growth. Robert Kiyosaki sounded the alarm over 2 decades ago in his book, Rich Dad's Prophecy, published in 2002. He didn't say it might happen. He was clear. The biggest market crash in history was on the way. Now it's 2025, and guess what? The prophecy came true. Public debt has skyrocketed. Governments have printed money like never before. The house of cards is falling. What we're seeing today: devalued government bonds, crashing stock markets, plummeting real estate, is just the beginning of a brutal correction. Here's the hard truth. Life is becoming harder and harder for anyone relying solely on a paycheck. Prices are rising, the cost of living is exploding, and salaries remain stagnant. No matter how much you work, it feels like money is never enough. And this global crisis is only making that suffocating feeling worse. But Robert Kiyosaki delivers an important message. In every crisis, there's a hidden opportunity for those who are prepared. When markets crash, assets that were once too expensive become accessible. Real estate, stocks, land, businesses, everything goes on sale. And those with vision, those who've been learning, saving, studying, and positioning themselves, can seize these moments to grow, while the majority is frozen in fear. He makes it clear, it's not luck, it's preparation. And in this storm, the window to buy high-value assets at ultra-low prices is opening right now. It's like a silent clearance sale, and only the attentive ones can see what's really going on. Have you ever felt like you're running on a treadmill, working harder, trying more but stuck in the same place, or worse, falling behind? Inflation is eating away at your purchasing power, bills keep rising, and your salary feels frozen in time. No matter the effort, it still feels like survival is getting harder. But Kiyosaki gives a warning that may sound strange amidst the chaos. This crisis might be the greatest opportunity of your life. It sounds contradictory, doesn't it? How can a crisis be good? The answer lies in how you see it. While most panic, prepared investors take a deep breath, observe market movements, and act. They know great fortunes aren't made when everything is going well. Great fortunes are made when everything seems to be falling apart. So what's happening right now? The real estate market is falling. Stocks, bonds, even cars and companies are losing value. Kiyosaki calls this the Black Friday of assets. Prices are plunging. And those who studied, who have capital, who understand the game, are buying quietly. While many are selling at a loss, others are buying at a discount. Here's the key point. This opportunity is only for those who prepared ahead of time. Those who have been learning about money. Those seeking financial freedom. Those who understand that relying on just one paycheck is risky, especially in times of crisis. Kiyosaki isn't celebrating the crisis. He's asking, the time is now. Are you ready? There's a silent detail in this crisis that very few are noticing. The largest transfer of wealth in history has already begun, and it's happening right in front of us. Kiyosaki explains it clearly. A big portion of the baby boomer generation, people over 60, built their wealth through real estate. Expensive homes, paid off over decades, now represent almost all of their net worth. But there's a problem. The housing market is crumbling, and when prices fall, that wealth begins to vanish. Imagine someone who spent their entire life paying for a house that's now worth half of what it was 2 years ago. It's like watching a lifetime of effort disappear. Many older homeowners will have to sell, sometimes out of necessity, sometimes because they can't afford to keep the property. So who benefits from this? Prepared young people. A new generation long excluded from the market now has a real chance to get in. But we're not talking about just any young person. We're talking about those who've learned the game, who've studied finance, who know how to spot a good deal when prices drop. Yes, this crisis will hurt many, but for those with vision, courage, and knowledge, it could be the beginning of their rise. Kiyosaki warns this crisis is clearing the board. When the dust settles, the players left standing will be the ones who acted intelligently. So the question is, will you just watch this transition from the sidelines, or will you be part of it? In times of crisis, what you do with your money reveals more about your mindset than any speech ever could. And when it comes to financial intelligence, few are as straightforward as Robert Kiyosaki. While many are rushing to protect their money with traditional investments, or worse, just leaving it idle in the bank, Kiyosaki is doing the opposite. He's not running from the crisis. He's walking toward it with strategy. So what is he buying now? Physical silver and Bitcoin, not silver stocks or mining funds, actual physical silver, the real metal, currently priced around $35 an ounce. Why? Because in his view, that's a bargain. Silver has real potential to double in value in the coming months or years. It's tangible, it's scarce, and unlike paper currency, it can't just be printed out of thin air. He's also betting big on something many still doubt: Bitcoin. As of April 2025, Bitcoin is trading at around $85,000. That may seem expensive to some, but Kiyosaki believes it's still cheap. He sees it going as high as $190,000. Why? Because people are losing faith in traditional currencies. The dollar, the euro, the yen, all being devalued by out-of-control money printing. You might be wondering, what about gold? Kiyosaki answers, it's too expensive and hard to use as a currency in daily life. Unlike Bitcoin, which can be transferred instantly, globally, and without banks or governments. In short, while many are still trying to figure out what's going on, he's already positioning himself. He's not waiting for the crisis to end to act. He's building wealth in the middle of it. That's the difference between someone who speculates and someone who truly understands the game. You know that old saying, it's during the storm that we see who the real sailors are. Well, Kiyosaki believes crises act like giant spotlights. They reveal what normally stays hidden. And what do they show? Who was really prepared, and who was just pretending everything was fine? For years, governments around the world printed money like there were no consequences. Trillions here, trillions there, with no concern for the future. Every time there was a problem, they threw more money at it as if that would fix everything. Now the bill has arrived. The result, government bonds, once considered safe, are collapsing. The old 60-40 investment strategy, 60% stocks, 40% bonds, is failing. What used to be safe diversification has become a silent trap. Millions are watching their retirement savings vanish and have no idea what to do. Kiyosaki says it plainly, this crisis isn't a fluke, it's a consequence. And who's suffering the most? The ones who blindly trusted the system, who believed all they had to do was follow the standard plan, get a degree, land a good job, contribute to a pension, invest in funds, and wait for retirement. That plan is broken. Completely. Those who prepared, studied, and took the time to understand how money really works, they're the ones benefiting now. They don't panic when markets fall. They don't wait for the news to tell them what to do. They act based on knowledge, not fear. Kiyosaki isn't speaking to those who want to live in denial. He's speaking to those who want control, because in a crisis, it's not the lucky who survive, it's the prepared. In a crisis, one thing is certain: everyone suddenly becomes an expert. Your neighbor, your brother-in-law, your bank manager, the Instagram influencer, they all have advice and opinion, a sure bet on what to do with your money. But Robert Kiyosaki gives a powerful warning. Be careful who you're listening to. Most financial planners are still giving the same old speech. Invest in traditional funds, diversify between stocks and bonds, think long-term, stick to the plan. Sounds great on paper, but that plan is crumbling. The strategies that worked 30 years ago no longer work in a world of reckless money printing and runaway debt. Kiyosaki is blunt. Don't take financial advice from people who've never built real wealth. Listening to someone who's never been through a market collapse is like asking a passenger how to fly a plane. It feels safe until the turbulence starts. He suggests learning from those who are actually in the game. People like Jim Rickards, geopolitical and monetary crisis expert, Jim Rogers, legendary global investor, George Gammon, economic educator, and Ken McElroy, real estate and smart debt expert. These are names Kiyosaki trusts because they don't just study, they do. Here's the final lesson. If you want to change your life, it's not just about working harder or saving pennies. You have to change your source of knowledge. You must surround yourself with minds that think differently, that challenge the system, that show you alternative paths. Because in the end, the right advice can make you grow, and the wrong one can keep you stuck for decades. But real investors, those who studied, who see beyond the headlines, who have a strategy, are doing something else. They're buying. Kiyosaki compares this moment to being in an empty shopping mall during a clearance sale, with an unlimited credit card and all the best stores open just for you. This is when the most valuable assets become accessible. But there's one important detail. This Black Friday doesn't announce when it's going to end. The low prices won't last forever. Just like in stores, those who arrive first get the best deals. Those who come late only find empty shelves. So the real question is, are you going to act like an ordinary consumer or like a strategic investor? Because while the world screams crisis, those with vision are whispering opportunity. When you hear the word debt, what do you feel? Fear, anxiety, that tight feeling in your chest? That's how most people react because they've been taught their entire lives that debt is something bad, something to avoid at all costs. But Robert Kiyosaki breaks that thinking like few others. For him, debt can be a powerful weapon as long as it's in the right hands. He explains clearly, the rich don't run from debt. They use debt to become even richer. Kiyosaki buys high-value properties using 100% bank financing. That's right, he uses the bank's money, not his own. But why? Because he understands that if that property generates more income than the loan payments, he's making a profit using other people's money. That's what he calls good debt, the kind that puts money in your pocket month after month without needing your own capital. But here comes the warning. Debt is like a loaded gun. In the hands of someone who doesn't know how to use it, it can hurt a lot. It can destroy lives, families, entire businesses. But in the hands of someone who studied, who prepared, who understands cash flow and return on investment, it becomes leverage. Kiyosaki isn't encouraging anyone to go out and get into debt without thinking. What he's saying is, the problem isn't debt, it's the lack of financial education in the person using it. Poor people use debt to consume, rich people use debt to build assets, and that changes everything. Robert Kiyosaki never gets tired of repeating, true wealth doesn't start in your pocket. It starts in your mind. That's why he insists on a point that may seem simple, but is absolutely crucial: financial education. But we're not talking about that theoretical classroom education, full of formulas no one uses in real life. Kiyosaki is talking about an education that schools don't teach, an education that shows you how money actually works in the real world. Because if you stop and think, you studied math, biology, literature, even organic chemistry. But did anyone ever teach you what an asset is? A liability? How a loan works? How the rich really build wealth? Probably not. And that's where the problem lies. Most people are trying to win a game they don't even know exists. They're working hard, trying their best, but without knowing the rules, without knowing there are different paths, different strategies, and more importantly, different mentors. Kiyosaki often mentions one name that according to him, is one of the greatest examples of practical financial education. Ken McElroy, a real estate expert, a master in the intelligent use of debt, McElroy shows in practice how to turn knowledge into wealth. And that's what Kiyosaki wants you to understand. You don't have to be born rich or be lucky, but you do need to learn. You need to seek trustworthy sources. You need to invest first in what's between your ears. Because at the end of the day, the most powerful asset you can have is a prepared mind. For a long time, the image the world sold about being rich was always the same. Luxury car in the garage, gold watch on the wrist, mansion with a pool, expensive vacations posted on social media. But Kiyosaki makes a point of dismantling that fantasy. That's not wealth, that's illusion. True wealth is quiet. It's the freedom of time. It's being able to say no without fear. It's sleeping peacefully even when the world is in crisis. And to reach that, it's not enough to look rich. You need to understand the game. And the game has changed. Today, the new rich is the one who understands the value of an asset, who buys when everyone else is selling, who studies when others complain, who learns from those who've already made it, not from those who only speak well. Being rich in 2025 has nothing to do with appearances. It has to do with vision, preparation, and decision. So stop and think, are you playing the right game? Or are you still stuck in a system that teaches you to work for money, but never how to make money work for you? If you've made it this far, then you already understand. The world is changing and fast. This crisis is not just a threat, it's a turning point. Some will come out of it poorer, confused, and lost. Others will come out stronger, richer, and freer. The difference between one and the other: awareness, preparation, choice. You can keep believing in the system, waiting for someone to save you, or you can take control of your financial life, seek real knowledge, change your mindset, and start today building your own path. Now tell me, are you going to be just a spectator of the greatest wealth transfer in history, or will you be part of it? If this video made you think, then I've done my part. Now it's your turn. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this content with someone who also needs to wake up. Because the crisis is real, but the opportunity is too. And it has never been this big. You've just heard truths that most people spend a lifetime avoiding. Truths you don't learn in school, don't hear from politicians, and won't get from your bank manager. Truths that are uncomfortable because they show that the problem isn't just the crisis, but how we were taught to deal with it. The 2025 crisis is underway, and yes, it will swallow the unprepared, but it will also lift those who have the courage to think differently. It's not about predicting the future. It's about preparing for it, and now that you know this, you have to make a choice. You can leave this video, forget everything, and keep living on autopilot waiting for the next raise, hoping things will get better. Or you can stop and say, enough, I'm going to turn the game around. Because just working hard isn't enough. Just cutting expenses, making spreadsheets, and hoping isn't enough. You need to learn how to build assets. You need to stop chasing money and start making money chase you. And that only begins when you decide to change. When you choose to study. When you choose to act even afraid, even with little, but with awareness. Now tell me, are you going to be just one more person watching the greatest wealth transfer in history from the sidelines? Or are you going to be part of it actively, with intelligence and vision? Pause for a moment and think, why is it so hard to get rich? Why does it feel like no matter how hard you try, money always slips through your fingers? The answer is brutal but liberating. You were programmed to be poor. Since childhood, you heard phrases like, money doesn't bring happiness. If you're born poor, you die poor. Work hard, save a little, and maybe someday you'll retire. This kind of thinking creates an invisible prison, a mental prison. You grow up believing the only way to win is to follow the traditional path. School, college, job, debt, retirement. And all of that while trusting the same system, the one that prints money and destroys the value of your savings, to take care of you in the end. But Kiyosaki shouts the opposite. You don't have to accept that fate. You can reprogram your mind. And that reprogramming begins when you understand that wealth is not about luck. It's about breaking patterns. It's about rejecting what you were taught without ever questioning it. It's about realizing that the game is different and that the true winners are playing by rules you were never taught. The good news? You can still change everything. You can flip the switch, leave the scarcity mindset behind, learn the language of assets, invest wisely, and most importantly, rebuild your mind to operate in wealth mode. But that only happens when you stop living on autopilot and start asking yourself the hard questions. It's time to face the truth. The world is changing fast. The crisis is no longer a prediction, it's reality. Some will watch everything from the sidelines, hoping something miraculous will happen. Others, more aware, will see the opportunity behind the chaos. The difference between them, it's not money, it's mindset. If you understood the message, if something inside you has awakened, then don't ignore it. This video wasn't made to entertain you. It was made to challenge you, to pull you out of autopilot. And maybe, just maybe, to push you in the direction of a new beginning. Now it's up to you. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this truth before the next wave of the crisis comes and sweeps everything away. Because in the end, the difference between those who survive and those who thrive is that those who thrive take action.